So in watching those videos on Ed Mabry's page, I, of course, eventually got to the one with the young cats with sharing their vibe. Metamorphosis, Lady Breon. It took me back to earlier days when the brother Stephen Willis was saying in the video that sometimes you do it for the game. Sometimes you just do it for the love of the game. And I feel that because that's exactly where I was back in them earlier times in the New York. And the older cats would step to me and say, well, you need to convert your work into a one-man play. Even when I came to Los Angeles for the first time, that was one of the things Kamal was saying to me. Kamal Daoud was saying, you know, you need to take it further. You need to look at other angles of what to do with your work. If you'd asked me at the time, hustle was everything. And if you'd said, yo, who is the best hustler? You've been around the world. You've been all over the country. Who do you think really hustles? If you stepped into a venue back in the days and Red Storm was there, I would have told you, look, just perform as soon as you can and then sell your product. And if you're the feature, perform as soon as you can and make sure they put an intermission right after you get off stage. Because otherwise, Storm was the type of hustler that he'd been done massaged all the money out of all the wallets and all the pocketbooks before you even get to set your table up. And don't think you was going to set your table up at the end of the night, because it wouldn't be no money left for you to get. Who would I just place in any major city in America with a bag of CDs and expect them to come out on top? Then I would say Lamar. I mean, in terms of that grind, that grimy hustle, whatever, do what you got to do to make sure you get them CDs off, I would get that to him, to Lamar Hill. But we were spoiled back then, and we just thought that hustle was everything. Kind of like, I guess, the railroads thought that railroads was everything, or the steel company thought steel would always be the thing. We thought it was everything. So even in my case, I remember when John Hensley had his thing up at the Music Box once, I had 2 duffel bags of CDs. I left one in the car, I brought one in with me, sold the whole thing, and didn't even think to go get the other one. I mean, I was fine. Didn't even worry about it. I thought that would always be there. CD sales was always going to be fresh just like that, but that's not how life is. One of my favorite movies is this flick called Kansas City. It's got Harry Belafonte in it. And throughout the movie, for reasons that they don't truly explain, you just got all these fresh jazz jam sessions. And there's like real well-known legends playing jazz all through the movie, just jamming, going at it. That's the game. And it's like a tribute to Minton's Playhouse, where back in Harlem, you had your Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, Kenny Clark, Charlie Parker, everybody coming up there, even Billie Holiday, and people just riffing and jamming, and that's the game. That's the love of it, right? They would make their money earlier in the day down at 52nd Street. They play that until midnight or whatever, and then afterwards, when everybody was done, they'd all meet up at Minton's. But I think what we all have to figure out is, because we all love that part of it, we still have to figure out what our 52nd Street is. And I think that's what them older cats were trying to get me to understand. And a lot of cats since then from our art form have parlayed into other things. They've made their 52nd Street. You had Carl Hancock, Rux, and Saul go into kind of a rock vibe. You had Asha Bondale and Paul Beatty become very well-known writers. You had Omari with acting. You had NQ, Malik Youssef with songwriting. That's what you have to keep in mind, in my opinion, not necessarily knowing exactly what you're going to do or where you're going to go with it. You just should have a plan for making sure you keep yourself open to receive it when it comes. You got to find your 52nd Street.